Okay, fellas, so welcome to Python programming tutorials with me, Faisal from Pycoders Academy. So this is a series of Python course, full course from beginner to pro, and we have been treating this from beginner. Now we are at the advanced section. Okay, so we started with comments in the advanced section where we said comments are a great way to communicate with other programmers when you want them to use your code here. So it describes what your code the code you have written here. So it can be multi or it can be single line. So you can refer to the previous video to look at what we learned about comment. Okay, so today we'll start with loops. This is a very important topic in Python. So it cuts across all the programming languages. So we have loops in JavaScript, we have loops in C++, we have loops in C and so on. But Python is a very simple way to describe loops. So it's very simple in Python. So you just ignore those bracket, those semicolon in those programming languages, but in Python it's very simple. Okay, so what are loops? Loops are just a program structure, or a code that represents or that repeats a sequence of instructions until a certain condition is met. So I can say if x equals 1, print yes. So it will be printing yes, yes until we reach a point where where x is not equal to 1. So this is a great way to define conditions and use loops to repeat what your code does. So this is very important in programming languages, not even like all the programming languages, and it's very key. So you have to sit tight and just listen very attentively and just practice it. Okay, so it's very simple. You have to just sit down and look through. Okay, so loops, as I said, are a programming structure that represent a sequence of instructions until a certain condition is met. Okay, so when a condition is met, then the program cut or stops. But before, like, if it doesn't if the condition is not met, then it will continue running. So it's like watching a movie. When the movie ends, then like there is a, let's say, a loop button there. If you tick that loop button, then the movie will start again and again and again and again. So that's a fair idea of what a loop does in Python. Okay, so we have three types of loops. So we have the for loop, the while loop, and the nested loops. Okay, so these are the three basic loops in Python. So but in other programming languages you can have the do while loop, so you can find more about it. But in Python we have the basic one, we have the for loop, while loop, and the nested loops. Okay, so what does each have in like different from the other? So the for loop loops over an iterable list. So let's say we have a list like this. So a list starts with a square bracket. So a man like this, then I will say top. Okay, then I will say girl. So when you see this list, we can iterate over it. That means we can take one value like each. So we can just go over them one by one. So we can go over man, top, girl, then we can go over it. So this is a way, like this the function of for loops. So it loops over iterable list. So something that can be looped over, or something that can be, I'm just using the loop again. So something that can be iterated, yeah, something that can be moved from one step to another, to another in a list form. Okay, so this the function of the for loop. So an example is, let's say I want to check the words inside the loops and print it out. So the syntax is you just do for, so you write for, then you say for, let's say, so when you are using loops, when you want to check something in that loop, you use any word. So I can use word, can use something like word, sorry, I can use something like word, I can use something like ch, I can use anything. So anything that will let's say signify that this is a word inside the list. So just for word in, so you are checking if, so if this word in this, or we are collecting the words inside the list variable. So for word in list, then what should we do? We just print the word here. So okay, so you are saying for word, so for word, so for this in list, print this. So let me run this code for you to understand. So you can see, so it's iterating it. So it's printing the first one, went to the second, and went to the third. So for the word in list, print word. So simple. So for this in that, print this. So simple. We can use it to iterate list. Anything that can be iterated, then we iterate it. So this is an example of for loop. I will explain it further in our next video, but this is a simple way to understand for loop. Then we move on to while loop. So while loop is uh, let's say used to loop while a condition is met. So let's say a boolean expression, we want to say if the boolean is true, then we should print something. So let's say while, let me define a statement here, while x equals 0. So let me say while x equals, sorry, while x equals 0. So when this condition is met, then like let's say to keep running because this is true. So while true, we are saying while true, so we just print yes. So it will keep printing yes until the condition fails. So let me run this code. So you can see it's printing yes, 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 yes. So it's not stopping, it's printing, it's still printing, it's still printing. So it's still printing here, it's still printing here. So this to tell you that while this statement is true, so we know x equals 0. So we are checking if x equals 0, which is 0 equals 0. So it's true. So while this is true, print yes. That's how to use the while loop. So it's used for conditions, but the for loop is used to iterate over a list. That's the idea behind the while loop. Okay, so now we move on to the nested loops. So nested loop is just a loop inside a loop. So let's say I have for while x equals 0, then I say for let's say for word in lists. So let me define the list here. So list is equal to, you can see the while loop is still running. Yeah. So I say man, then I say go. Okay, so like this. So for word in list, print, then I will say word. So let me run this code. Okay, so stop and run. Yeah. Okay, so you can see it's still printing. So we are printing for word in list. So though here it consists of only two here. So you can see go man is appearing here, go man is appearing here. But like we have a while loop here. So that while loop say when the condition is true, when the condition is true and for word in list, then you print this. So it means that it will print it twice. Every statement it will print it twice. So it will keep printing, keep printing, keep printing unless we break it ourselves. So that's the nested loop. So we are using a loop inside a loop. That's the idea of nested loops. So we will explain each of them in its own video. So this is a great way to give you an intro to loops. Okay, so I think we are done with this video. Thank you. No, let me treat this break here to for you to understand. So we know it will continue printing unless we break it ourselves. So to break it, we just break it, use the break statement. So the break statement will break it out of that loop. So it is used inside the while loop. So I can use a break here. So it means that after the for loop has finished running, then we break it. Or we can use it here. Then I will say after the first word has been printed, then you break it. So let me run this code. Okay. So run this code. Stop and run. Okay, so you can see what is happening here. So after the first word has been run or has been printed, then you break. So it means that it won't go to the go. So after this has been run, it won't go here. It will just be printing the man. But when you bring the break here, it means that after it has run the for loop, so after it has run the man and go, it will just break. So let me run this code. Okay, so you can see it has break. So after running the for loop, it will just break. So simple. So this is a way to use the break statement. And yeah, we can have another one called the continue. So continue like this. So after this one, as like as after this statement has run, then we just use the continue to continue it. So it will be continue. It won't be breaking. So this is a vice versa. So you can see it's continuing, it's not breaking. Okay, so this is a simple way to explain the break and continue functions or statements in loops. Okay, so as I said, we have for loops, we have while loops, and we have nested loops. The for loop is used for iteration, so iterating over a list, and the while loop is used in conditions, so to loop over condition or to loop conditions. Yeah, so then the nested loops is a loop inside a loop. So we are using a loop inside another loop. Okay, so I think you understand now. Then we use the break and continue statement. The break statement stops that let's say that loop. It stops running that loop and it move on to the next code, and the continue just continue from there. So it won't break. It will just continue. Okay, so I think that's that for this video. So subscribe to my channel and like this video. See you in the next video. Thank you for watching.